So today we are at the 75th anniversary celebration of the International Conference on Biology Beyond Boundaries. So we will we'll speak to some of the experts today. And today we are with Patrick Duffy, and he's an expert on
malaria vaccines.
So you can tell us more, sir, about your research and give an overview of your work.
Well, I study malaria pathogenesis and immunity in people who are naturally infected. We also have models where we experimentally infect people and study how they are protected by vaccines. And then our lab has a capability to manufacture vaccines, design and manufacture them, and then we test them in humans. And so we've been trying to design different kinds of vaccines for malaria. Malaria is a little bit unusual, very different from usual vaccines, because the organism has many different stages.
Right.
And depending on what stage you try to target with the vaccine, you can have a different effect. So at present, our community is very excited because there's 2 vaccines that just got licensed and are going to be given to children in Africa this year. And actually Pune, India is one of the major centers for manufacturing and delivering this vaccine to Africa for children under the age of 5 years old.
And this will be with the Serum Institute
This
in
is the
collaboration?
Serum Institute of India.
Okay.
It's a vaccine that was designed at the Jenner Institute at Oxford in the UK. And it also had a contribution from a company called Novavax in the US that makes the adjuvant that goes with it. So it's an example of different countries, scientists from different countries working together to develop a product that attacks an important global health problem.
And has COVID research, etc., the fallout of COVID research, has it helped in, say, vaccine development for y'all, you would say?
Well,
so?
The mRNA vaccines were something brand new that came out of COVID, and now there's a lot of work going on with mRNA vaccines for malaria. We have to get results and see how well mRNA vaccines work for the malaria problems. The 2 successful vaccines for malaria are very different from mRNA vaccines. You make actually recombinant protein and you put them in a material called an adjuvant that enhances the immune response. mRNA, generates protein when you inject it, and the RNA itself has some kind of intrinsic adjuvanting properties. We just have to see how well they work. We have to go, anytime you have something like a vaccine product, you have to go through clinical trials to prove that it's effective. Right now, we're all at the stage of looking at mRNA in preclinical work, usually meaning that we immunize animals and see whether the kinds of immune responses they develop look like the kind that we think can protect people. And then if that looks promising, then often we'll advance that to human trials. There is one company called BioNTech that has already been testing malaria mRNA vaccines in humans. So we're all looking forward to hearing what the results of those first trials are.
What about, say, some people who have raised issues about, I'm talking a bit in lay terms, but the DNA combining with the cells and all and causing, side effects and all, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, that's, for any vaccine, no matter what the kind is, you're always concerned about safety. That's why you do trials first in animals to see if you see anything that goes wrong. You also use in vitro studies, so they look at cells to see if there's any evidence of incorporation, and then you go on to do human studies after that. I think the thing to say about mRNA vaccines is that many, many, many millions of people have now received those vaccines, and there's no evidence that
it's combining with the cell genome.
There's no evidence of that.
Okay.
And before RNA vaccines, there were DNA vaccines, and there was a bigger concern about the DNA vaccines having that effect. Actually, the RNA doesn't really get into the nucleus, so if you had to pick one for safety, I would pick the RNA vaccine. Still, always with any vaccine, they always do the safety monitoring. But with all those many, many millions of doses, there's really no evidence of anything like that. And there's no reason to specifically think that RNA vaccines would have a greater propensity for that than DNA vaccines.
Right. And one last question. Over so many years, people have tried to develop malaria vaccines. People have tried many approaches. So what has gone right this time? Compared to the last 70, 80 years, you would say?
Yes, I think the thing that went right is that there was a very smart woman scientist back in the 1960s who showed that she could protect mice from mouse malaria by taking the form of the parasite that the mosquito injects, and she used that, she irradiated it, and she immunized with it, And she showed in the 1960s that she could protect mice with that. And it then took many years to identify the target of the antibodies, and after that to get the technologies we needed, like these things called adjuvants that improve immune responses, so we could have an effective vaccine. And ultimately, the thing that's moving things forward is that companies like Serum Institute of India are willing to invest their effort into accelerating the development and distribution of those vaccines now. So it took technologies and a deeper understanding of protective immunity.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for your. Yes, ma'am. If you could say some words.
So, coming back to your question,
Yes.
Plasmodium, there was a, if I'm not wrong, Dr. Ross, he invented
Ronald Ross.
Ronald
Yes,
Ross,
yes.
and through this, it was a long period, but there were many field trials done, and antigenic variation was the major issue in Plasmodium. So in layman terms, like there, Plasmodium, it has falciparum, vivax, and he has many caps.
Right.
Like, so he sheds one antigen, different antigen comes, and this was the mechanism how they were fooling the immune system. But now with COVID and with this technology, RNA technology, like this vaccine, now we have with recent research, different antigens. There are different stages. This is the erythro stage, the
Right.
stage in the mosquito also.
If I may just add a small point, when I was back working on vectors, we were working on
Mosquitoes.
Wolbachia and all, using Wolbachia to control these Aedes aegypti and all, manipulating
Yeah.
Wolbachia. And that was one approach. How do you target the mosquitoes and how do you target the with the parasite? And they were like two competing branches.
Yeah.
So I think one branch seems to have reached the goal.
So now when the vaccine has been designed, now there is
Right.
one like this is sporozoid CSP protein.
Okay.
So that is the mosquito branch. Like
Right.
it is coming in the humans.
Right.
And another R25, that is the another name. So now people are taking transmission blocking vaccines, also the CSP vaccine, and now probably a few more. And then when this cocktail comes, it will be more effective. And because of the RNA technology, the vaccine, the production has been easy, and now people have started believing in. So hopefully,
Okay.
so from 2021, this vaccine came, and now we are hoping that new
So
versions will come.
production probably and distribution will start probably when, like, I mean, just the timeline,
India,
approx timeline, not sure.
Not
Okay,
sure.
okay.
Field trials are going on.
Field trials are going on.
Yeah, and basically the whole world is excited.
Okay.
In Europe and
Yes,
America.
yes, absolutely.
But in India, yes, it is time to come. Probably with Serum, it will come.
But this will probably be for the African markets. So start with
No,
no.
for the Indian.
Indian domestic completely. Okay. Pleasure talking to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.